Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome. This is your girl, Crystal Jordan, with Rolling Out and also from Crystal XO. And we are here on a Friday night. I know you guys are in the chat waiting for our guest tonight. I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited about this conversation. I just have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions to ask. So you all know that if you are subscribed to this channel, which I hope you are, then you know that Marvin is going to be joining us tonight. So you definitely want to make sure that you go ahead and like and share this broadcast, because I'm sure that what we're going to be talking about tonight is going to interest a lot of Ready to Love fans. So we're going to be recapping tonight's episode, and also, like I said, talking to Marvin about his time on the show. I'm not going to lie, guys. I was super surprised at everything that happened tonight. Very, very, very surprised. Very surprised at tonight's happenings. But before we get into that, please let me know that you can hear the sound. Go ahead and drop an XO. Let me know that you're in the chat. Go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, because we have so much more coming, so many more interviews. We're doing just have a lot of Ready to Love conversation that we need to get into. So like I said, go ahead and drop your XOs in the chat if you can hear. And also go ahead and make sure that you are liked and subscribed to the channel before we get into this, so people can see this conversation. Hey, Stacy, thank you so much for that XO. Glad to know you can hear. Can you guys hear me? Because usually, there we go. Just got here. What happened? Hey, Crystal. Hey, is everything okay? Because it looks like there are people that are having a hard time with joining. I know Marvin is going to join us here in a minute. Here we go. All right, there we go. Hey, Tequila. Hey, Josie. Hey, Druzy. Welcome, 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 welcome. You guys come on in, have a seat, sit down. It's going to be a good episode. Recapping, like I said, with our boy Marvin in just a second. He's going to be joining us. But tonight's episode was totally unexpected. Totally unexpected. Hey, Mona. Hey, Kay. Thank you, E-Love. Thank you for that. Thank you. I'm glad you guys can hear. I wanted to make sure before we get started, because I want to talk a little bit about tonight's episode. And then, of course, we all got questions for Marvin. We all want to know a little bit more about Ready to Love's erotic author that joined us here. Thank you for shouting out our girl Tequila in the comments there. So tonight's episode, I was really shocked to see Herbert and Chris in the bottom. I did not expect that. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I really kind of thought it would have been Phil. Not because I don't feel like he has a great connection with Aries, kinda, but just because we really haven't seen him. I feel like Herbert has been a lot of people's connection. So it's really strange to see the ladies turn on him after tonight's ladies lounge. And Chris, I feel like Chris also has had several connections. So it's really weird to see how tonight's conversation went with the both of them. Thank you so much, Nisi. I think I got to tell you guys, it's interesting to see. Mona says she was hoping it would be Marie. I thought probably Phil or Marie, right? Out of the two of them, I did not see it being Herbert and Chris, so that was a curveball. Tommy, always likes to throw curveballs. That was the curveball I wasn't ready to get tonight. I also think it was interesting that, guys, we are at least 75% of the way through this season, because we know now the couples trip, right? Now it's supposed to be a couples trip, but there are no couples. There are no couples. So it's kind of weird. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't understand what this couples trip is going to give. Usually each season, we know that the couples trip kind of, earmarks the relationship between the people that have more than one connection, and if they're able to deal with the fact that that person is now in front of them with their other connection. But I don't see any. I see no couples that are really going to have an issue. They basically sent Herbert home, who would have thrown a little bit of, charisma into the mix. So I don't even know what we're getting ready to see next week. Like, I have no idea what we're going to see because I don't really believe any of these connections. I'm interested to see what you guys had to say about Janelle's date with Herbert and Quentin. Very, very interesting after our conversation with Lee. Earlier this week, we had Lee on Monday, and Lee kind of, cleared a lot of things up. And even listening to her conversation, it was still strange to see her on a date with Clinton. And that was her only connection, which is very strange. So that was her only connection. And I think after that date, Clinton definitely has made it clear in all his confessionals, for whatever reason, that he's not really connecting with her. She seemed very out of it. As we heard, she was very clear earlier in the week that she wasn't really into it. But yeah, I'm not sure what we're gonna do on this couples trip. I mean, Janelle and Quentin are, I guess the couple that's there, especially since Herbert is gone. I don't understand what Lee is going to do on the couples trip because her only connection is, definitely um, professing his desire to be with Janelle. Um, they haven't really talked about the interesting thing about Quentin and Janelle is we haven't really heard them talk about anything other than the fact that they like each other. We don't know if Quentin is okay with Janelle's timeline. Does Quentin want to have children? Does he want to have children with his wife? We don't know. We don't know any of that. We don't know any of that. All we know is that you guys don't seem to be buying the Quentin and Janelle. I just don't. I don't see them as a match. I really thought Janelle and Herbert would have been a better match. I don't see Janelle and Quentin. I just think that it doesn't really make sense. That's just my opinion. It could be that I'm wrong. We all could be wrong. Um, but Tamasha says Quentin wants Lee's homegirl. I did kind of think that. I was like, well, he seems like he's kind of attracted to Lee's friend Muffin. Um, she actually, like, her and Lee obviously both work out. They both have like super cute shapes, and Quentin did seem attracted to her. But I don't even think I don't know. I don't even know if Quentin I'm interested to talk to if he comes on because I'm not sure if I just don't know what is he attracted to, what is he like? Because as Lee said, Lee and Janelle are totally opposite, right? So if they both were connections of his, that's a lot of guys don't have a type, but they're very different in every possible way. So that's kind of strange. He did seem to be more attracted to the friend. Um, Quentin Mona says, "Who will Aries choose?" That is the only possible connection. The only possible connection on this season could be Aries. I do think Aries and Phil do have a connection, but I don't know. I don't know that it's substantial. We saw how she was like, well, she actually felt more connected with Chris. I'm glad Chris did not go home, but like I said, I really didn't expect Herbert to go home either because Herbert was one of the only guys. He had more connections than just any of the guys. So it's a strange season. I want to ask you all what you think. And Tequila, if you could reach out to your boy because he knows that we are supposed to be on. So we need to go ahead and bring Marvin on. I want to get his perspective on some of this. So hopefully Marvin will go ahead and jump on so we can kind of ask his opinion on some of this stuff. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about Tequila, not Tequila, Tequila. Thank you. I just saw your yes, ma'am. I want to see what you guys thought about the date with Amarie. Well, actually, TD Divine said Marvin is tied up someplace. Could be, or maybe he's got someone else tied up. But hopefully he will get finished with his activities and join us. But I thought, Jessica and Chris and Jessica and Amarie. Again, this season is confusing me. I did, after Jessica and Amarie had that last date which it was very strange that Janelle was on that date because I don't think Janelle and Marie have a connection at all. So that was weird. Um, but to see the fact that um, they had not connected since that date, and Amarie, she still had Amarie in her top connection. I just feel like the producers are connecting people, right? They're just connecting people for entertainment value. Um, I don't know if Jessica. I feel like Jessica would be a better match, or she would probably be more attracted to Chris. But Chris's comments continue to be that he's not really attracted to her personality, her persona. That he feels like he wants to see a soft and nurturing side from her, and he's been very clear about that. I mentioned that to Lee earlier this week. I feel like Chris has been very clear when it comes to Jessica that he just doesn't feel that she has been very she's showing him a different side of herself than the more professional side. So I think it's a little strange because Amarie did step up and he brought her a gift, but I don't really think that she's really into Amarie. I don't. It doesn't seem like a lot of people this season are into anyone on the season. So I feel like Jessica is very strong and really is okay with not connecting with anyone. She's definitely not what they call a pick me. So I think that she's just as hesitant about the connection with Chris as he is about her. Those two definitely are not a match in my book. But I also don't really see her in Amarie. He said that he wanted to not apologize for who he is, but explain it. And the way she reacted to the tarot cards and the fact that his spirituality seems to be very different than her spirituality, I don't think that would be a match. I think that it's not about explaining yourself, it's about finding out, are you a match? And I think both of them saw that they're not compatible. So that's interesting. So I don't know. Lee doesn't have a connection. I don't think Jessica has a connection. I don't think Katarina has a connection at all. Who is Katarina going to connect with? Herbert is gone. I don't see any connections for her either. All right. Thank you so much, Tequila, for reaching out to our guy. I owe you for that one. And I figured he might have had the time confused. So we're going to go ahead and bring Marvin onto the screen. There he is. Hey, Marvin. Can you hear us? Oh, your sound is off. You're yeah, you can't hear me?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I can't hear you at all.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
hear anything. One second.
Uh-oh. Hello, 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 hello. We can hear you. You can't hear?
Hello? Okay,
Maybe
one second. I
maybe
think
go
I'm gonna have
out.
to come out and come back in.
That's fine. Just go out
Yeah,
and
because
come back
I can't hear anything. I'll be right back.
in. Okay. All right. T Divine says Kat and Janelle argue next week. Well, Kat and Janelle were arguing on social media quite a bit. So I'm assuming that their social media, conflict came from what we're getting ready to see next week. But Katarina, I don't see with the connection at all. I don't see Jessica. I don't see Lee. Really, Aries and Janelle are the only ones, and I don't necessarily see Janelle and Quentin being a real connection. Danny says Sierra. I don't think Sierra has a connection either. Like this season is so weird, and I don't know why. I don't get why nobody really has really found a connection. It's a very interesting dynamic. It seems like the cast is having more issues, kind of arguing with each other. Um, Gifty brought up a good point. Janelle made a comment that Chris holds grudges. I don't know what that was referencing, but I definitely look forward to asking. That seemed to kind of come out of nowhere. I almost wondered, was she saying that because Jessica definitely made it clear that she was not feeling Chris after Chris made it clear. I mean, he told her friends that he didn't see that side from her. But I do want to notate women that are watching. You guys know my book, my book, Dear Alpha Female, It's Not You. it's not him, it's you. I really, really, really talk about the fact that women, we have to stop leading with job, with profession. I don't think anybody should lead with that, men either. But definitely women, we have to stop doing that. And if you notice, Jessica's friends were talking about how she's so successful, and Chris was like, "Yeah, I understand all that, but I want to know, how does she communicate and how is she nurturing?" Now, in Jessica's defense, Chris does seem to be a guy that wants a woman to really be able to pour into him. But at the end of the day, most men are going to want that if they're looking for a wife. So let's see if we can bring Marvin on. Let's see if Adonis Allen is able to hear us. You got to take your sound.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. Right. Well, first of all, welcome to Reality Check. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Can you turn your
Oh, landscape.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
There we go. We want to be able to see you and hear you.
Okay. Let me see. Wow. I can take it this way. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Better?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Well, first of all, like I said, welcome. I was just kind of going through tonight's episode. Did you have a chance to watch tonight's episode?
Listen, I thought you said 10 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock here. So I'm like, 10 o'clock. Okay, cool. I got a little time. I was literally about to watch it. And then my
Oh,
phone starts blowing up. It's like 10 Eastern. I'm like, oh my God. I should have known that because I'm from Detroit, right? So
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, you are from Detroit. You know, I'm originally from Toledo, so we are neighbors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a Bearcat. I went to University of Cincinnati.
Oh, okay, cool. No, I went to OU, but when I told my family, they were like, "Oh, you're going to Ohio University?" I was like, "No, I ended up going to Oklahoma University." But that's a whole
Yeah.
nother story. But yeah, definitely from 10 minutes outside of Detroit, so we're definitely sort of neighbors. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah. So how do you like Texas compared to Detroit?
Such a different vibe. Like literally, like Texas, I feel it could be its own country because there's so much to do. The infrastructure is kind of it's crazy. It's huge. Everything is bigger in Texas. Including the traffic jams. Don't get me started with that. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot to do. People are very open-minded and more receptive, especially for a person like me. I found my community down here, and that was something I was completely. It didn't even cross my mind that was a possibility.
Wow.
But yeah, I love Texas so far. The food is amazing. Also, they feed you well down here too. So you definitely got to stay in the gym, or you're gonna mess around and go the
Yeah.
wrong direction.
That is definitely true. Well, you know
Yeah.
what, you mentioned that finding your tribe and finding your community there. So let's just
Hmm.
talk about that, because I think you were different with this season, because we've never met an erotic author
Yes.
ever on the show. We've had, I think we had like a sex therapist or intimacy coach one season,
Hmm.
but she didn't really go into a lot of what she did. It didn't come up a lot in conversation, but I
Yeah.
feel like with you, from the time we met you at the mixer and we learned that you were an erotic author, going and going and going. So let's talk about your community, Marvin. What how did you find your tribe, and what is that tribe?
When I first got to Texas, I went to an erotic art exhibition, and it was Black artists, painters, and sculptors presenting their work at an expo.
Okay.
And I met the owner of that venue, and I connected with them. I started coming to events there, and my idea for my show, the Boa Experience, that's when it was born last summer.
Okay.
And I started putting on my own shows there, and it's an evening for the erotic arts, so poetry, music, my short stories, and then BDSM demonstrations where people and couples will come and we teach them about the art form, because me and nephew Tommy are kind of in the same business. I want people to love and the relationships to last, and for people to have excitement and fun in the bedrooms, because couples that play together stay together, and Lovers Lane said that the best. So what I do is I teach these people how to have more fun and diversify their sex lives
Mm,
with BDSM, with different forms. There were classes that taught sensuality and sensual touch.
Mhm.
and to couples, and finding these people that through these events, and networking with them, and meeting erotic poets,
Mhm.
that their form of poetry is erotica, and my form of literature writing is erotica. So we were all, even though I'm not a poet, we were all kind of still in that black erotic literary community together, that a group. So I started bringing them to perform at my shows. They'll have shows like Brown Sugar Lounge is a black poetry group down here that's really really big,
Okay.
and I've sat in on a couple of their shows and performed as well. So it's like it's something that I wish would spread, and I wanted it to spread, but
Mhm.
but as far as the show,
Yeah.
I talked about so many different things,
Mhm.
and that wasn't shown. And it's
Okay.
like I didn't really watch reality TV before this,
Mhm.
so I wasn't prepared for how the editing and things were going to be. So I'm thinking like, yeah, I put my best foot forward. I'm like, I came for the right reasons. I want love. I'm ready to find my partner. And as the episodes are airing, I'm like, okay, they didn't show me talking about anything but that.
Yeah.
Episode two, okay, they didn't show me talking about anything but that. I'm like, what about my marriage goals? What about my life goals? I want kids, more kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what about that kind of stuff? But it is what it is, So I'm like, if that's how they were going to portray me, then then there's nothing I can do about that, because it's
Yeah.
out there now. You know what I'm saying? But then a week after the show, I met my girlfriend. So
Oh, we were going to get into that. So you're already off the market. Well
oh
let's
yeah.
talk about. I Because I think that people. I would wonder if you're in
Hmm.
that community, and I want you to talk a little bit more about that because I don't really know about it. But I think
Hmm.
that it's important for people to hear and understand, and you can make a decision if that's for you or if there's not. But I would think that you would meet a lot of women, like you couldn't possibly have a hard time meeting women when you're in a community of women that have similar, your goals and passions are aligned. So how are you not able to find love when you're connecting with people in that same community?
Because I am so picky, and I am very I'm very detailed about what I want from my life,
Hmm.
and the woman that I want from my life has certain characteristics and certain traits, and when the show, being on the show, and doing the episode on non-negotiables,
Hmm.
that really, I think that the show really prepared me for meeting my woman, you know what I'm saying, and put me in a position to where my mind was focused on the right things.
Hmm.
Dating with intentionality, that was a big word that we use on, Uncle Nephew Tommy used on the show, intentionality. And then, what are your non-negotiables? And I hear those things in my head as I after the show, and then a week after the show, I jump in someone's DM, and
Hmm.
then the energy and everything just fit perfectly. So it was like, okay, do I not take this opportunity, and to progress, and to spend more time, and to be intentional,
Hmm.
or do I go, go with what I was really on the show for,
Yeah.
and that's to find love, and that's exactly what happened. So I definitely believe, you know, me going on the show was absolutely, obviously, for the right reasons, because my end result
Yeah.
is what we went on the show for,
Yeah.
but I don't know, I'm happy, so.
Yeah, well, that's all that matters. And I think I said this from season one. I mean, from
Mhm.
day one. I think this probably opened up a conversation, and it probably, I knew you were going to find a woman because I was like, okay, he's putting out what he wants. There are women in that community that are going to respond. It's going to
Yeah.
be like a bat call, right? Like the bat signal is going to go out, and they're going to come. So, I do think that that's not something that we often talk about in the African American community. I mean, for literature,
Hmm.
I'm an author as well, so I
Right.
remember interviewing Zane, and I have, I don't know, this
That's dope, by
this
the way.
is this is it's called Succulent, Erotic and Noir Anthology. So
Yeah.
obviously, as author, we were black authors are around that, but I didn't really understand. I've never heard of like erotic shows or anything like that. So can you explain to us like what does that entail? Because I'm not gonna lie, some of the things that you mentioned on the show were like, whoa, what exactly is that?
I
What's happening?
mean, Yeah, I know, but here's the thing. If someone asks me a question, I'm going to answer it, because I'm going to be upfront and honest. Like, okay, because for mainly, I need to know if you can handle me. Because if you can't, what am I wasting my time for?
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? So me being completely transparent, which is number one, is what I thought we were supposed to do.
Yeah.
Two, it definitely helped me to figure out who was for me and who was not
Hmm. Hmm.
immediately, because I'm like, we don't have much time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like this is a year process.
Right.
So it's like I need to find out who can handle me and who cannot. And the best way to find out who can handle me is by
Being
figuring out
honest.
who can handle the truth.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as the shows are, it's an evening for the erotic arts. We start with um, poetry. I have a really dope DJ, so there's kind of like a party vibe. And then I'll have poets, kind of go in rotation. I'll perform, I'll sing. That's one thing they left out also. I sing
Oh
in
wow.
at my shows as well.
Okay.
And then at right before midnight, I'll read one of my stories,
Hmm.
and that's I call it it's story time.
Hmm.
And people have their drinks and their food, and they settle in, and the couples are all cuddle, and they listen to an erotic story. And the way I write, the details you can feel.
Hmm.
So people get really into it. And then my last show was called Erotic Audio Files, where I I made an audiobook version of my story,
Hmm.
and then I read live over the audiobook sound effects that
Mm.
are playing over the big speakers, and it was a I did a disaster erotica story, so the sound effects were crazy, along
Okay.
and the erotic sounds were authentic, so
Mm.
it sounded like everything was happening, plus you can hear me narrating over the top, so it's a completely different experience.
Oh wow.
And then right after that, there's my BDSM friends will do BDSM demonstrations with submissives. So there's different forms. Of course, we do wax play, electro play, fire play.
Oh.
I do sensual massage, sensual BDSM massages, where it's a sensual massage with a little bit of impact, play, or I'll do full impact with my submissive,
Uh huh.
So people, and then after, like, we perform, the floor is opened up for people to try it, and to come to my friends and myself and ask questions. And that's when we educate people and talk to couples, and or I'll do a little lesson, and I'll teach the husband how to spank his wife so they can take that home and have a little fun.
Oh wow.
So it's a really, really dope environment. And I promote sexual freedom,
Hmm.
not the non-judge, all the judgmental mess, and the derogatory social sexual hypocrisy that women deal with. All that stays outside. You can come, you feel free. It's a safe place that I've created for people,
Hmm.
and that I've created for myself as well, with what I do and what I'm into.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel judged just like the next person.
Right.
you
Right.
know
Well, I love the fact that you can talk about it openly and not because it's really educating people. If you guys are
yeah.
just joining, we're talking with Marvin from Ready to Love. He actually was a social media favorite. A lot of women thought Marvin was wanted to keep him around a little bit longer,
Mhm.
but then also some of the things that he acknowledged he was into were definitely different for the show. Um, One of the things that is interesting with Ready to Love, because we're talking to adults who kind of know who they are, right? You've lived a little bit, you have a little life under your belt, so you know what you're into, you know what is a good fit for you. We saw this season, there were issues with religion, right? As there are a lot
Yeah.
of times with Janelle and Jessica and Amarie and the tarot cards and all that. And then the situation with you, I think, and Lee went on a couple of dates with Lee, which was funny because I felt like we saw the dates with you guys where she just was kind of like, saying that she wasn't really into what you were into. And that
Yeah.
happened over and over again. So it's interesting because I think as adults who have, experience, what works for you. Um,
Right.
what is your experience like with people when people do, especially people of color, when you do share with them? Do you get a lot of women that have the response? Were you surprised at the way that some of the ladies responded to what you had to say on the show?
I was actually I was actually kind of disappointed, because our phone conversations were a lot different than,
On camera?
yeah,
Okay.
and I kind of figured, because I understand both sides of the coin of what I do. There
Mhm.
are people that are into it or curious about it that don't want everybody knowing that they're curious or into it. And
Right.
and privacy and discretion is one thing that we protect aggressively
Mhm.
in my community. If you don't want to talk about it, or you don't want to be public with what you do, then fine. No cameras, no faces. That we keep that safe for that person.
Mhm.
But for me, I've been open about it for so long because I write, and because I have a book. Because it's always and every time I meet a woman, and I'm like, I'm an author.
Mhm.
There's like a series of questions that precede,
Mhm.
that first question of what do you do, and what do you write about? Like Kat, when we had our conversation, well, I'm an erotic author. I'm like, wow, okay. Well, the next question typically is, well, where do you get your stories from? You know, and I'm just like, okay, well, experience, and I have a wild ass imagination, and I
Yeah.
just combine them two. You know what I'm saying? So, um, and then it just goes from there. And then they find out I'm a dominant, and it's like, okay, well, how long you been in the BDSM, and how did you get into that, and
Mhm.
how do where do you get yourselves from? It's just all kind of questions, but I like answering them because it helps defeat misconceptions.
Yeah.
I rather have someone make an educated uh, um, rejection of this
Mhm.
world than an ignorant one. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? Like, say no because you understand it and it's just not for you. Don't just say no because it's BDSM and or whatever. That's ignorant, and
Right.
that's typical. Anybody can do that,
Right.
But I think as rational adults, I would rather understand something and say, okay, that's not for me,
Mhm.
And but at least I know, and I know why. I didn't
Right.
just look at it and say, oh hell no, But with no understanding. But again, that's the typical reaction.
Right.
But when I meet women, even when I was single, there was always a lot of curiosity about it,
Mhm.
and there was always a lot of conversation, a lot of questions,
Mhm.
and some lot wanted to experiment with it or come to my show and experiment,
Mhm.
or come to an event, and try it out, or here at the crib, you understand? So
Mhm.
it's really like, I think it's a lot more popular than people realize. Like I said, I have a whole community here in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
That we do large events. I think I had an erotica expo this past weekend called the Dirty Show,
Oh wow.
and we had probably maybe about 125 both days
Mm.
in a venue that held about 125. But we had art, we had several painters, we had vendors, I had a barbecue pit food truck right outside, and the
Nice.
food was
Oh, have a
amazing.
good
And
time. Right.
yeah, it was a vibe, man. It's all over my social media videos and pictures and stuff right now, though.
Okay.
But yeah, I love putting on these events because it opens up so many people, and even at my Dirty Show this past weekend, there were couples coming up to me like, man, we've been looking for something like this for so long, and I'm getting messages of, when are you coming to Atlanta? When you coming to DC? Bring us to Chicago. Bring us back to Detroit. And I'm
Mm.
just like, okay, I'm working on that,
Yeah.
because it's I think people are ready to really be who they want to be and be who they are. And in this world, you can be who you want to be.
Mm.
In this world, I'm Adonis. Nobody even knows they didn't like people. Some of my friends were like, why are they calling you Marvin when the show came out? I was like, well, that's my government name. Nobody
Oh
knows me
my
by
God.
Marvin in this world. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm body of Adonis. I'm Adonis Allen, erotic author, sensual dom in this world. And
Okay.
but I'm not the only one that lives by their alter ego in
Right.
this world. A lot of my friends live by their alter egos, and I love it. It's fun.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the show. So
Okay.
you came on and you actually had, I feel like we probably didn't see a lot of your connections. I feel like we didn't see a lot of anybody's connections. I don't really see a lot of connections.
Yeah.
But we did see a connection with you and Unique that was shut down really quickly when you learned that she didn't want to have children. So I want to ask you, was there more to that situation than just the children? And was that a real connection for you? And maybe were there any others that we didn't see?
No, Unique and I had a real connection. It was disappointing that I had to really make that decision, but nephew Tommy in my ear, your non-negotiables.
You stepped up. You
I
were like, "Yep, nope, can't do it."
Yeah, I want more children. I want a son, because and this is something that they didn't show. Like, I am very intense in my want for having more children because my family name ends with me. The branch of my family tree. I don't have any brothers. I got three sisters.
Hmm.
So I've always felt this pressure to continue my family branch.
Mm-hmm.
So family is so important to me, and to go through my life and say, okay, it's on me to continue the Allen name. Like that's important. That's huge.
Yeah.
So everything I do in my life is for that purpose.
Okay.
And now finding my partner, it's like I'm one step closer to accomplishing, that goal, and having that pressure relief from my back,
Mm-hmm.
of being the only male offspring that my parent, of my parents. So
Yeah.
yeah. So when that happened, I was just like, I can't sacrifice that.
Yeah. That's real. That is real. As difficult as of a decision as it is. Did you have
Hmm.
any other connections that we didn't see besides Unique?
Yeah, I had six of them after those at that first episode.
Wow.
Yeah, but they chose the path that they wanted me to go.
Okay.
And my path was unique. Me and uh, Tequila were connected at first. We had a great conversation, great energy. Me and Sierra had great conversation. I mean, like I said, me and Lee, I think that's why there was such emphasis on Lee,
Mm-hmm.
because she and I were a really strong connection. They didn't tell this about me, but I was a personal trainer for 13 years.
Oh
So
wow.
we had a lot in common with that. I played college football. She ran track.
Mm-hmm.
We're both former college athletes, so we vibed on many different levels.
Right.
So, but again, that wasn't, they wanted to show her path with someone else, and it's like, I get that,
Okay.
but I'm just like, okay, they're just I saw what they were doing after I think after episode 2, I was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
I think she felt the same way because we didn't see any of her connections either. We only see Quentin.
yeah.
See any other dates at all. So you mentioned Tequila. We saw
Hmm.
you and Unique. Obviously, there was one with you and Lee and Sierra.
And
Anybody else?
Katarina, yeah, me and Kat had a really strong connection after that first our first the group date,
Hmm.
and then we had our solo date at the cafe. We had a great time, and it was an amazing conversation,
Yeah.
and we left that date like, you know what, this is, she had her questions about, what I do in that part of me and monogamy and all of this stuff, which I
Hmm.
understand, because
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a secret. My last relationship was polyamorous. I had two girlfriends,
Okay.
so
Because that was brought up in the ladies' lounge.
yeah.
Marvin, is it possible? And like I said, I appreciate you being candid because I don't know, but it's interesting. I like hearing about people's lifestyles.
Hmm.
Um, is it possible? You made a statement earlier that couples that play together stay together. I live in Atlanta.
Hmm.
There
Oh yeah, the show will be there soon.
are a lot of couples playing and not staying. There are a lot of people that open up their relationship, and
Hmm.
that does not usually end well, right? So
Right.
so is it possible to be in this lifestyle and to be monogamous? It seems to be a contradictory theme.
It's that's by choice. A lot of my community is non-monogamous, but they're solid relationships. You don't have to. I mean, if people could step outside of that framework of thinking for 1 second to understand that relationships don't have to exist with monogamy,
Hmm.
then that's where the whole swinger lifestyle in the community comes from. I
Hmm.
mean, I've known couples that have been married for decades. I know couples now that are happily married. Several, many of them I hang out with. They come to my shows and stuff like that. It's and there isn't, every lifestyle has drama. So there's going to be drama, but
Hmm.
when you get people who are in it for the right reasons, then those are the relationships that
What
that
are the right reasons?
pardon me,
What are the right reasons?
as far as getting into the lifestyle.
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, you want to explore and experiment with your partner, and you have different fetishes and things that you enjoy, and understand that it's so many different reasons. I mean, it could be it could be anything, but for when I say the right reasons, it's not used like getting into it to try to save and put a bandage over a broken sex life. That's the wrong reason to get into it.
Okay.
Like your sex life has to be the shit already,
Hmm.
and then you get into that. It's like, I always equate it to throwing lighter fluid on an already burning flame. Like,
Oh,
our shit is already hot, but
it
let's
just
make it
takes
just a
over.
little bit hotter for a weekend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those things are bonding events. People don't understand it. It's hard to understand, but after an event like that, you
Hmm.
always feel closer to your partner. Like, it intensifies,
Mm.
your emotions for that person, you know. But again, if you're not on the inside, you wouldn't be able to
Yeah. Well,
understand even how that happens, you know.
it sounds like it works for certain personalities, and then there are probably
Hmm.
certain personalities that it wouldn't work for. Um,
Absolutely.
are is that mean that you are open to being in a? Is it an open relationship? Is it a swinging relationship? Like, what is the what is your ideal relationship for yourself?
The one I'm in now.
Okay, is that and what and how would you define that one?
We are lifestyle. We do openly practice BDSM. She's getting into electro play now. She had some fun with one of my friends during the show on stage. She did an electro play demo on her, and I love seeing her pleased. You know, her
Hmm.
pleasure is my pleasure. So seeing her do that kind of stuff, man, it's like it's hot, you know. And then yeah, we are swingers. We do not we don't practice monogamy, you know, but there's rules. There's we have a certain dynamic that we follow, and our communication is flawless. Because
Yeah.
my thing is this: if you can tell me something like that, then what can't you tell me?
It's yeah, we are all the way open. That
Exactly, and so it's not all the way open. Like there's very few. Like we're super picky on who we deal with. But it's liberating for her. You know, I like to. Like I said I created and here's the thing. She was involved before we met. It's not
oh,
something I brought her into. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
I've been in this. Yeah, I've been in this since 2008. You know.
Oh,
Um,
okay, Marvin, you
it's not. I'm not new to this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
are not. No, you
nah.
are not. Miss Brown says to ask you if
Hmm.
this woman is your anchor partner. She obviously knows the verbiage. What does that mean?
I'm assuming the one that holds me down. And yeah,
Okay.
she's like we're planning. We're working towards marriage in 2025 in St. Thomas. Like it's already been discussed.
Oh wow. So
You know.
you found your queen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing.
I think it's
Um,
good that she was already in there because I can't imagine somebody trying that to make the person happy,
it
and
doesn't work.
that would not, yeah, that would not be
No,
good.
that wouldn't work. Don't do it just to make me happy. Do it because it makes you happy, which is going to make me happy. You know what I'm saying? Like enjoy it. You know, because if
Yeah.
you're not enjoying it, there's no point of us doing it.
So there was a mention that you of a, I think it was stag that you enjoy watching the partner have sex with someone else. That was brought up at the ladies' lounge, and that probably
Yeah.
I felt like that was one of the things that caused the ladies to vote you off.
Nah, it was some other things going on behind the scenes that I think really did it, but that's they edited all of that out.
Well, what is that, Marvin? Will you tell them? We want to know. I mean, the season is almost over. What do you feel like was? Why do you feel like you were voted off? If it's not because
Um,
the sexual, the lifestyle differences.
I spoke out against how Janelle was treating Kira
Oh,
in the ladies lounge,
okay.
and that very next episode, Chris and I were gone. And then it was some things that happened, some more things that happened that it was more it was a few events that happened. I was like, okay, this is not the show that I thought I was playing. You know, I thought I was on Ready to Love, not Survival. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
it was a lot of different things that happened. And like I said, I spoke out against it because I hate a bully. You
yeah,
know, I have a 17-year-old daughter, and I raised her to protect people and to help people when she's able to. You
yeah,
know, so for me to see a grown woman bullying and being like that towards someone else who's just trying to be there for the, and just doing her,
yeah,
minding her own business. It's like leave her alone. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, well, like whatever. You know. So I
yeah.
spoke out against that, and that was, and I knew, and I knew in my heart, especially because, like I said, so a couple other things that I witnessed. I knew when I spoke out against her, it was a wrap for me.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
a lot of people on social media have been talking about that. We've obviously talked about it. Um,
Hmm.
with different castmates that have come on, different of the castmates have come on. But I'm always interested, and I appreciate you bringing that up because as a man, when you come on these shows, and this season has been more cattiness with the women than some of the other seasons. Last season we didn't see it quite to this level.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious to know what does a man think when he sees a woman behaving like that towards other women. Because a lot of times men will turn a blind eye to it. But I wonder.
And yeah,
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm just wondering What do you think? Because I'm sure this is an example, but it happens all the time. You see a lot of cattiness and just women bickering back and forth. What does a man think when he watches that about that woman? Like, what do you take from that, from watching how women treat each other?
No, well, number one, I'm so anti-drama that that was the main reason why I never thought about doing reality TV, because
Okay.
I don't want to be involved with that. I don't want to be. I wasn't raised around that. That's not what I want in my relationships. Like I don't like cattiness and fighting and people belittling people. Like I literally created an environment for people to feel safe.
Yeah.
So to witness that, it's just like number one, we're not 16. we're
Right.
not we're not kids in high school bullying each other and picking on each other because you feel insecure about whatever reason for that person,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, man. Just like we're too old for that, and
Yeah.
for me, and then two, you know uh it's a complete turnoff,
Yeah.
because and this is another thing that I said in the lounge that they edited out. I don't want my children growing up thinking that's okay.
Good for you. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's too much of that. My daughter was bullied in elementary school. I was bullied in elementary school. It's like, get your kids. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it's like, why would I want someone that thinks like that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
raising my child?
Right. Right.
Because if you think like that, how else do you think?
That's true.
What else are you capable of?
Yeah.
If you, especially if you're willing to do it on national TV, I'm like, how did you pass the psych eval? You know what I'm saying? Like that's my question.
Yeah. Yeah. Why
So
do you think, why, just in your opinion, why do you think that's being protected? Because we're hearing that from on social media. It's really,
mhm.
really bad behavior on social media. And a lot of other members of the cast have spoken out. Why do you think it's been protected on the show?
Negativity self.
Yeah, it does.
I
It
mean,
does.
that's the society we live in.
Yeah.
That's why our music is the way it is today. What I'm saying? Like, that's why R&B is dead.
Yeah.
Because negativity is what sells. Negativity is what gets you views. What I'm saying? So it's like I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
They want people to watch. So why not have them fight? Let them fight.
Yeah. Ah. So what actually, so you mentioned you sing. What type of music do you sing? Do you sing R&B?
Yeah, R&B, a little bit of Afro beats, but it's kind of like an R&B vibe over top.
Okay.
But yeah, my mother sang opera, my dad sang in the church,
Okay.
so I was the only one that kind of got the music gene.
Hmm.
So when I was in college, I took piano lessons from a classical composer at the College Conservatory of Music at UC,
Hmm.
and that's when I started producing my own music. But I was not at the level to perform in front of anybody back then, of course, but over the years and as I matured in the art, I got better, started performing more, and eventually performed a lot in Detroit. But coming down here is like I wanted to focus on my book and my erotica, because in music I did it at my show because it's fun. I love being able to perform because I have a song, a BDSM song that I wrote.
Oh wow.
It's called Surrender, and I was going to perform that at Dirty Show, but I ended up not doing it because I ended up reading. But I'll probably perform that at my next show on my birthday. It's called Hero Gasm.
Oh wow. Okay. Now,
Yeah.
is there a website people could go to? Because there may be some curious people in the chat. Can I put up a website that they can go find more information about the song, about your books?
Oh, yeah, it's Boa Erotica, BOA, Boa like the snake. It's short for Body of Adonis.
Okay.
Yep,
Erotica.com.
BoaErotica.com, and it's Boa.erotica on Instagram.
Okay. Well, okay. All
And
right.
then
I just put that in the chat, guys, so you can go and check that out if you're interested to hear his music or get a copy of the book. I wish I had a copy of the book for the interview, so I would have been able to kind of reference things. But
yeah, I'll send you one.
okay.
When we get out, just shoot me your address. Shoot
Yeah,
me
I
whatever.
will. And then maybe we can have you come back and have a different conversation because we do relationship conversations. So that
Yeah.
that would be cool. Marvin, did you were there for a substantial amount of time. You definitely had a lot of people asking for you to be on the show. So you had a fan base out there. Did you learn anything about yourself or about the process? You mentioned that this kind of led you to the love that you're with now. What did you
hmm
learn, and what did you take from this experience that you think helps you in your relationship now?
Well, I mean, but yeah, definitely just not not sacrificing what I want. for anything. Not doing the 80/20. I want it all. You know what I'm saying? Because I deserve it all because I give it all. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And being able to, you know, hear people telling me that they commended me for being who I am and being myself and being true to me. And I'm just like, for me, it's just like, this is me every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna change up because I'm on TV. Like, this is how I am. This is what if people meet me in the grocery store, I get stopped a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but after, of course, after the show, and for people to take pictures, and they ask, they have asked questions about it. But I'm the same person. I'll stop and talk
Mm-hmm.
and answer what questions you have. Unless I'm in a super rush, which I rarely am. If it's like a grocery store, gas station, that's where it typically happens, or the gym. You
Mm-hmm.
know, hearing people saying that, and even on social media, people commend me for that. It's just like, if that inspires somebody else to do it and someone else to be true to who they are, just because I am,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm happy. Then I'm like, okay, I've inspired someone to fully embrace and love themselves for who they are.
Yeah.
Because I do. When sometimes when I talk to people, I ask them a couple questions. I'm like, listen, do you love yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's gonna say, yeah, I love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say, do you accept your sexuality? And mainly to women, because there's so much suppression women deal with in
Mm-hmm.
our society from different sources and different directions. I say, do you accept your sexuality? And 90% of women say, well, no. Then I ask them, how can you truly say you love yourself when there's a part of you that you don't even embrace?
I'm
So
surprised that women don't accept their sexuality. That's strange.
there's a lot of women. I mean, toxic masculinity, just family, religious judgment. It's so many different sources that'll stop anybody, but mainly women, because
Mm-hmm.
that's the history of our world. Oppressing women from being who they really are.
Mm-hmm.
And any woman I'm with, I want you to be liberated. I want you to be
Yeah.
you because I want to love you for who you are.
Yeah.
I want to love 100% of who you are, not the 80 that you're showing me.
Right.
You see
Right.
what I'm saying? So for if I can inspire someone to get to that 100% of self love, but just because I'm like, this is me, I'm Marvin, I'm Adonis, I do this, I just
You're embracing it, and that could help someone else really quick,
yeah.
because I know we are almost out of time, but I'm just interested, how did you find this? Like, how did you 2008 is a long time ago, so how did you well, I'm like, I started doing PR in 2008, and I feel like at this point I know I'm a veteran, so you absolutely
Yeah,
be a veteran at what
super vet.
how did you get into the lifestyle?
The story is actually kind of funny, man. I worked out with a group of guys at a powerhouse gym in Southfield, Michigan, where I started personal training later.
Okay.
And I came in late one day to a workout. So I'm stretching and warming up. They already lifting. I'm overhearing conversations like, wait a minute, what are y'all talking about? One of my boys is like, oh, Marv, I throw swinger parties. You got to come. I'm like, what? A swinger party? Okay, sign me up. So I go to the party. They couple me with a single female because it was mainly couples, and I was like a single guy. And single guys are kind of like not really welcomed in certain LS groups or whatever the case,
Hmm.
because people typically want the single female,
Hmm.
to join them.
Sorry,
So
LS. What is LS group?
lifestyle,
Lifestyle. Okay.
yeah, lifestyle swinging kind of,
Okay.
um, so they paired me with her, and then it was an insanely wild night. I'll spare you the details. And I ended up doing four more.
Oh.
And yeah, and then that next year, I got with I met my girlfriend. We were together for 6 years, and we were in the LS the whole time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and then after that, it was just like I had this uncanny ability to bring people together because I was so comfortable with talking about my desires that women would open up to me about theirs.
Mm.
Because again, I created that safe place because it's like, I'm telling you my desires, so I'm trusting you not to judge me. So they're like, okay, I'll trust you, not to be judged as well.
Right.
So it ended up becoming a thing where I was like still practicing, and then I think in 2017 I got into BDSM. I started buying restraints and
Mm.
floggers and paddles and ticklers and blindfolds and stuff like that, and having fun with those. I had a couple submissives,
Okay.
and then when I moved to Texas, that's when everything
Just wide open.
just blew up. Yeah, my show was gaining so much momentum even before the reality show.
Hmm. Well,
You
now
know,
it's probably really gonna. I'm sure that's like I said that you definitely put it out there, and there's people are gonna be drawn to it because of the show. Is it? I've always wondered with couples like that. Is it
Hmm.
both ways? Because a lot of times, I feel like men do not are not open to the woman also receiving pleasure from another man. It has to be another woman. So are
Right.
you okay with seeing her enjoy another man as well?
That's that's what the stag vixen thing came into play because I enjoy watching my woman with another man.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah. It's
okay.
it's 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 a kink almost in a way because it's not something that happens often, but every now and then I'll get the urge or she'll get the or we go to a party, and it'll happen. But I yeah, that's definitely a real thing and something I dealt with in the beginning, which is why they had to pair me with a single female, so I wouldn't just be a single dude there. But yeah, that's a very real thing. But here's the thing: if that's a woman's fantasy, why isn't not fair, not right for her to do it? But it's okay for me to have a female male female threesome.
And I'm saying I'm not in the lifestyle, but I
Yeah,
do feel like it should be equal. So
exactly.
and I know so many guys. I work in entertainment, so that's a very very popular thing to
Yeah,
have the relationship open for females, but not male. So as long as she sleeps with females, they do it together, they do it whatever. And
yeah.
I feel like that's sexist. I feel like that's still promoting toxic masculinity
It
because
is. It's
yeah,
a double. I mean,
you know.
I wrote a story in my book for a friend of mine because she told me that her fantasy was to be with two men and she described exactly how she wanted to do it.
Mhm,
But when she told her boyfriend at the time, who had just approached her about a threesome with another woman, they
mhm.
got into an argument. They got into a fight and ended up breaking up. So it was like it's okay for you to bring a woman, but as soon as she's like, okay, cool, we'll do it, but this is what I want too. And that's why women end up suppressing their desires. And that's not right.
Mhm.
And I don't want to suppress women. I'm like, if that's what you want, point
That's
him out.
totally fair because it was good for the goose should be good for the gander, right? So
Yeah, but the thing is, we know the male ego can't handle what it gives out all the time. You know what I'm saying? So
thank you for saying that, Marvin. Not
I
at
mean,
all.
it's the truth.
No, no, no. You're right. I agree 100%. So the question I'm trying to wind my questions down, but I have a lot of questions.
No, it's okay. I'm good. I got a 7 a.m. flight.
So could you be once you because there's this idea like once you've been exposed to certain things, it would be hard to be in a situation where you're not. If you guys, you and your woman ended up having a baby and then she decided, Marvin, I don't really feel comfortable with us, living this way anymore. I would like it to go back to being just the two of us. Would you be able to do that?
Absolutely. I mean, because who was I talking to about this? Oh, Kat. Yeah, I told Kat like I've experienced so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's a couple things that I still would like to experience, but it's like only maybe one or two things. I've my bucket list is empty.
What are they?
So
I'm just curious. What are those things that you haven't experienced?
a certain kind of how should I say? I don't know. See, oh wait a minute. So this is the funny part. Not to divert, but that scene at the hoedown when I was talking with Lee and she asked me what else am I into, I literally stopped the scene. I'm like, wait a minute. Literally, I was like, do y'all want me to say this? And the producers was like, yeah, because she wants to know and make the decision on her own. So I was like, okay, action, and got right back to it. And that's when I told her about my my fetish. But I'm just like,
The
I
ass
know,
worship? Was that the ass
yeah,
worship? What is
yeah.
that?
Well, ass worship is there's a form of body worship and sensual massage, tantric touch that it's rhythmic movements and it focuses on an ass massage, and then along with it, you eat it from the back or just all kind of whatever you want to do, but in that situation. But for me, ass worship is body worship. It's sensual. It's
Mm,
sensual touch. It's seeing the woman squirm and moan just from my touch. I've caused orgasms with no clitoral stimulation or penetration, just with my hands.
mm,
So seeing the power that I have and
mhm.
how it affects the female body and how she responds to my touch, and then how she responds to my tongue and everything that I do, that's a fetish of mine. You see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
that's what I was talking about. Obviously, they're not going to give me 10 minutes to describe all of that.
Yeah,
In that segment, it's just ass worship, boom, and then hit you with this term, and it's like, oh my god, what's that? But that's what it is. I'm a sensualist. I practice the art of sensuality in everything I do in a bedroom, and the sole purpose is because I'm turned on from the pleasure that I cause.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was trying to, that's what I was explaining to the ladies when they asked me that question. I'm like, yeah, a woman's pleasure is my greatest fetish. And then there's sub fetishes under that, which is the way I cause that pleasure. You see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
it's an entirely different world of pleasure,
Why
So
is it this is Janelle Monáe album? You need to make that album the what is it called? The Era of Pleasure. The
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's all that. Yeah, you guys.
yeah,
So how now you have a child? You have a daughter, right?
yeah. 17. That's actually what I'm flying home tomorrow. Her graduation party.
So does she know about this life? How do you share this with her? How do you do?
Um, I believe in keeping children innocent until
Yeah.
they discover it on their own. My daughter and I have a relationship where she comes to me, like when she came out, she came to me first,
Okay.
and I was like, little part of me was like, okay, she came to her dad and told her that first.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we talked. So if she had any questions about anything that I do, if she found out, because she knows I'm on the show,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of it she's watched, but she said it was weird seeing me on TV, but she was proud of me.
Yeah.
She knows she can come to me and talk to me, and I'm an educator,
Yeah.
because I would rather have her prepared, and allow her to make her own decision,
Yeah.
as a mature young lady,
Mm-hmm.
than blinding her and she finding out on the streets.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that's where a lot of parents go wrong.
Yeah.
They push their children away from things like that when they're curious,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're coming to me for knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it to you. You're my daughter.
Yeah, because
You know what I'm saying?
they'll get it someplace else if they.
Exactly. I'd rather her get it from me, so she'll have a clear understanding than she learn it 80% or 70% on the street somewhere, but she's, like I said, when she came out as lesbian, she came to me, and I was proud of her,
Mm-hmm.
for accepting and being who she really is,
Yeah, that's
and whoever she is, I'm gonna love her and support her, to my last day. So
I love that. I
that's
love that. So if a woman, I know my questions are all over the place, but it's a lot of questions. People, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat, and I will ask Marvin. But I'm you. So you're the girl that you're with now. She's a submissive.
No, she's actually. I'm teaching. We're going to start her lessons on being a dominatrix.
Oh, so that was my question. Do you have to be with a submissive because you're a dom? You're a dominant. Is a dom.
Yeah, no, she would. I mean, the only way she would dominate me is if she ties me to my bed and sits on my face.
That works.
That is literally the only way I will allow someone to dominate me.
Why? Because
I'm
it says you have to be submissive to be. Don't you have to be able to serve to lead?
Yes, and that's exactly how I learned how to serve in that, in that relationship I was in for 6 years. That's when it first happened.
Okay.
And that's what helped me understand the psychology of submission,
Yeah.
because I understood how I felt in those moments when my air supply was being cut off by her pussy, you
Oh,
know what I'm saying?
damn. Okay.
And yeah, but it was the most arousing thing that I had ever experienced. Like, just from a physical standpoint, I was about to jump out my skin, but I couldn't because I was restrained. Um, but there's only, like, actually, she's only the second person to have done that, to tie me that I allowed to tie me up, because she understands how to write my face.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, wow. People. Okay. So outside of this, you mentioned that you worked out. You were an athlete. You were a personal trainer. What do you
Hmm.
feel like the show did not? What else did you talk about? What else? What other sides of Marvin did we not get a chance to experience? Because people were so. I'm sure the producers were like, "We're going to focus on this because it is provocative. It gets the people going." So what
Yeah.
else? What else do you feel like you didn't? What other sides of you are we missing, or did we not get a chance to meet on the show?
So during that date with Kat, the single date, it started with me talking about how when I was a kid, me and my friends used to dress up as Power Rangers.
Okay.
And it was so, I hate how they edited that, because that happened like way further into the conversation. That's why it was like so out the blue.
Yeah.
But I think they really didn't want to show me talking about anything substantial other than BDSM. So it was like light stuff and then BDSM, you know.
Yeah.
But I make costumes. I make superhero costumes.
Oh,
And that's what my next show is, a superhero. My next show is my birthday party on October 13th. It's called Herogasm because it's a sexy
are
superhero
you
costume.
a Libra?
Yes.
Oh, damn. Oh, damn, Marvin.
What?
Oh, I'm a Libra, and my husband is a Libra too. Libras are very okay. I get it. I get
It's
that.
making sense now.
Makes a little bit more sense. Not I mean
Yeah.
yeah, not but yeah, the intensity is and passion is definitely there. So the costumes though, is that cosplay?
Yes. Yeah. I do Comic Cons. I made my girlfriend a Pink Ranger costume, and I made myself the White Ranger costume. I'm making our costumes for my birthday,
Okay.
I have an Etsy store. I sell costumes and make costumes for people, custom costumes, but they're like movie quality because I 3D print. So another thing they didn't show, I'm a really big nerd. Like it's like I'm a black nerd. Yeah, I'm a total blur. I love it. You know.
That up. We kind of picked that
Oh
up.
yeah. Yeah.
That out. But do you think that now I'm gonna ask you a serious question because I feel
Hmm.
like I love the idea. Why I'm enjoying this conversation is because I don't feel like we get a chance as African Americans to show all the different sides of who we are. I
Hmm.
had a great conversation with Kira because I love the fact that she was like, we talked about this idea of what a black girl is supposed to be like, right? And
Right.
I hate that. I grew up
Right.
between Ohio and Oklahoma, and I would hear, "Oh, you're like a white," and that would piss me off because I'm like, no, I'm like Crystal. There are a lot. There are black girls that ride horses. There are black guys. Obviously, they're into cosplay. There's all type. We do all types of things.
We
So
do anything.
we do everything. Like, so do you
Hmm.
think that there is the idea of what masculinity is, especially for the African American culture, is changing? Do you see that people are being more open and more receptive to defining themselves by their, by what makes them happy, as opposed to following the swagged out, representation that has been like, this is what the black man is supposed to be. Either he has to be 100% hard and swagged out, or
Hmm.
this way. So do you think that things are changing?
I think so. I mean, I've lived my life outside the box my entire life. I was never into things that like I literally get pissed if someone calls me typical. Like
Mm,
that's the biggest insult that you could give me.
mm,
Because I don't want to be grouped, with a bunch of people that do the same thing, But I think, like you said, today now more people are becoming in their individual selves. Their art is coming out more. Whether it's photography or music, people are, because realistically, I think the pandemic is what really did it,
yeah,
because the pandemic gave you time to realize that you don't do anything else in life but work and go to bed.
that's true.
Because when work was taken out of the equation, what
Then,
else do you do?
but yeah, yeah,
People lost their minds. Domestic violence shot through the roof. People didn't have anything to do.
yeah,
So it's like, for me, I was doing model kits. I was making, I was working out. I was skateboarding. I mean, rollerblading around my balcony in Detroit. I kept myself busy because I already do a lot.
yeah.
But like I said, right now I think people are, especially the people in my community, whether it's the art side or it's the poetry side or it's the BDSM side,
Hmm.
people are getting a lot more and investing more into the things that they love, and like I think life is just too short not to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the pandemic taught us that, first of all, work can be taken away. So if you're not enjoying your life,
What's the
then
point?
yeah, if it gets, in the blink of an eye, it can be gone. Back
Hmm.
to my roots, said, what in the after dark is going on here? We are talking to Marvin from Ready to Love. Actually, we were talking to Adonis Allen, I think, from Ready to Love. But I just want to thank you so much for coming and being 100% candid. That is so dope. I feel like whenever we are authentic, that is when we are at our best. Um,
Yeah.
and I love the fact that you're very honest about who you are, and that can educate some people. It may not be for you, but I agree that the best way to know if you don't like something is to really educate yourself on it, and then you can know if that's for you or if it's not. Otherwise, it's just ignorance. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you being a part of that, and appreciate you sharing with us your experience. And also, I hate the typical quote that people do all the time is protect Black women and all that. But I do appreciate you as a Black man having a Black woman's back and saying this isn't right. And it's really not even about genders. It really is just about it's not right to treat people bad regardless of who you are, you know, and what
Yeah.
you're doing. So I definitely
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Yeah. So definitely, I'm going to send you my information. I would definitely love to get one of your books, and I want to have you come back on and just have a conversation about the book, and we can do that.
Sure. I got it. This is it right here. It was actually holding my phone up, but this is Bo
Okay.
Erotica book one.
Are
It's
there pictures in there? Are there pictures in there, Marvin?
no, the words are pictures enough.
The words are pictures. Okay. Well, you
Yeah,
got
but
some. You have some. I understand you're in a relationship, but Tamasha and
mhm.
Keisha in love. There's some fans. You guys can reach out to to Marvin on the website and his Instagram page. You know, if you visit in Texas, you may want to give him a get in slide in his DMs because there's some women on here that are definitely impressed and want to know more about.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I have these conversations all the time, so just definitely hit me up. I don't mind, conversing, especially when I'm not working or whatever the case. And there have been, people since the show came out that came to my expo
Yeah.
last weekend because they wanted to experience my world. I actually did a little BDSM scene with one of them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. So the boy experience is the show, and we celebrated our 1 year anniversary this past weekend with an erotica expo. So it was
Okay.
big, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, definitely hit me up. Boa.erotica on Instagram,
Okay.
Adonis Allen on Facebook, and then the website is boaerotica.com.
All right. Well, I'm not calling you out, Keisha. I'm trying to get you where you need to be. Okay. I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
she's throwing the alley oop there for you, like.
I'm sorry. That's what I do. I want everybody to find love and happiness. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Marvin. Please have an amazing weekend, and we will look forward to talking with you again soon.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Been a
Absolutely.
pleasure.
Talk to you soon. Bye bye. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. We definitely had to do this conversation after dark. This was a 10 o'clock. This was an after 10 conversation, but I appreciate Marvin coming on and being so candid. And I love that we got a chance to see a little bit more of him than we saw on the show. I have a lot to say about the show. Tonight's episode didn't really give us much, but if you guys will be back here on Monday at 8, we have yet another cast member that's going to be stopping by to talk to us. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how disappointing some of the things that we've seen this season are. I'm not really sure what to expect from this couples trip, but I don't expect any coupling. We'll say that. Love you guys for tuning in. As always, make sure before you leave that you go ahead and like and subscribe. Share this conversation. I'm sure there are a lot of women that have questions, maybe even some men that have questions about what Marvin was talking about. And we'll definitely have him back on to talk about his book. All right. I love you guys for watching. See you on Monday at 8 o'clock, right back here on YouTube and Rolling Out.